Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. Here's what we're looking at. A WTTW News exclusive, a watchdog report says city leaders could have prevented the smokestack implosion in Little Village.
We all know that nothing's free.
What lawmakers want to hear from the governor ahead of his budget address.
And I don't want to make sure that I'm not voting on something that's parking meters or the Skyway Bridge.
Older people block a proposed ComEd deal from advancing. What's in the proposal?
For 26 years, I spent Valentine's Day alone.
And finding love while dealing with depression. And now to some of today's top stories. That smokestack implosion in Little Village, releasing a plume of dust at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, could have been prevented by city officials. That's according to a 94-page report from the city's former inspector general obtained first by WTTW News. It determined that city officials put Little Village residents at risk when the city allowed the demolition based on an old permit without renewing it. Heather Sharon will have more on this story in just a couple of minutes.
For those willing to roll the dice on a brand new career, Bally's Casino and City Colleges of Chicago are announcing a specialized job training program for those who want to become card table dealers. The new initiative is called the Dealer Training School, and it'll teach folks the skills necessary to become a dealer at a casino game table with the opportunity to get a job at the new Bally's Chicago Casino. Starting this Friday, City Colleges will be holding information sessions for anyone 21 and over who is interested in signing up, and you can view all of that info on our website.
Cook County's oldest voter is 111 years old and received a Valentine's Day visit from Cook County Clerk Karen Yarbrough.
Whether you eat it or not, I'm going to leave it.
I'm going to eat it.
Okay.
Miss Susie Lewis, who clearly hasn't lost her sense of humor or her appetite, was born in 1911, nearly a decade before women gained the right to vote in 1920. That means the Maywood resident has been an eligible voter for 93 years. Yarbrough presented her with a few Valentine's gifts, including candy that she clearly intends to eat to celebrate her commitment to democracy. The clerk's post-election report will include a page commemorating Miss Lewis's milestone.
Amazing. How many elections did she vote in? Incredible. Music fans, get ready for The Boss at Wrigley Field. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band announce a headlining show for August 9th at the iconic ballpark. So if you got a hungry heart to relive the glory days, tickets go on sale Friday. Last time Springsteen played at Wrigley was in 2013. A lot of concerts already lining up for this summer.
Looking forward to it. Coming up in the program, what we might expect in Governor Pritzker's budget address. Amanda Venicky joins us from Springfield.
But first, what could have been done to prevent the smokestack implosion back in 2020? Heather Sharon with that story right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
Chicago officials could have prevented a plume of dust from enveloping Little Village in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to a confidential watchdog report obtained by WTTW News by none other than reporter Heather Sharon, who joins us now with this exclusive. Heather, former Inspector General Joseph Ferguson completed this 94-page report just before he left office in October 2021. What did he find?
He found that, as you said, the city could have prevented a cloud of dust from enveloping 6 blocks of Little Village had they required the firms that were taking down this smokestack to apply for a new permit. Instead, the city agreed to amend a permit first issued in July 2018 that did not seek permission to use explosive to demolish the smokestack.
So the Inspector General found that this could have been prevented. Why wasn't it? Why are we just learning about it now? And especially 2 weeks before the city of Chicago was electing potentially a new mayor.
Well, Ferguson found that this was a multi-agency breakdown of city regulatory oversight and constituted a knowing bureaucratic acquiescence in an environmentally negligent demolition that generated a particulate dust cloud on site that was predictably propelled into the residential community of Chicago's Little Village neighborhood. So it wasn't one person's fault. This was a systemic breakdown because officials from the Department of Buildings did not require this new permit, which meant that officials in the Chicago Department of Public Health could not ensure there were adequate measures in place to stop that dust cloud in the first place.
Especially when, of course, as we know, it happened at a time of a respiratory pandemic. So only discipline handed out by city officials to the 3 employees probed by the Inspector General was a written reprimand. You spoke with Alderman Mike Rodriguez, who represents the 6 blocks of homes covered by this dust cloud. Is he satisfied?
He is not. He sees this as an example of environmental racism that would not have been allowed to happen in a primarily white neighborhood. Of course, Little Village, the heart of Chicago's Latino community.
Okay, Heather Sharon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brandis.
And of course, you can read Heather's full story on our website. That's WTTW.com/news. And now to Paris for the latest out of Springfield. Paris.
Brandis, with so much going on in the Chicago mayoral race, it's easy to forget there's a lot happening at the state level, too. Governor J.B. Pritzker outlines his vision for the state tomorrow in a joint State of the State and budget address. Our Amanda Vinicky is in Springfield now with an early preview. So, Amanda, what is the situation right now going into this big speech?
Yeah, Paris, Illinois does not have the best fiscal reputation. Who can forget, of course, that seemingly never-ending budget impasse? And also, over the years, Illinois racked up $140 billion, yes, that is with a B, dollars in long-term pension debt. But Comptroller Susana Mendoza says things are actually going okay right now, and she says that Illinois has the 6 credit upgrades to prove that. Illinois is also up to date on paying its bills.
In fact, our oldest bill today and tomorrow will be 15 days old, so we're right on track, well under a 30-day payment cycle. We have close to, well, as of right now, we have $1.06 billion in our rainy day fund, up from less than $60,000 when I first took office.
Sounds pretty good, right? But Mendoza warns that while $1 billion may sound like a lot, that is only enough of a reserve to cover 5 days of current state spending. Now, forecasters do call for Illinois to have some extra money to essentially play with, a revenue bump of $2 billion for the next fiscal year. But Mendoza says that Pritzker should put at least half of that toward pensions and toward putting more money into that rainy day fund.
With those fiscally disciplined approaches, whatever extra money is there, we really need to be cautious about how we spend it. I would suggest that the best thing to do is not to create new programs that are going to require year-to-year additional spending.
She says if there is any, let's call it for lack of a better term, leftover money, she says that should be put toward current state programs that are proven to work, like the MAP program that helps low-income college students, give them grants.
Amanda, so you have a Democrat here saying no new government programs. How realistic is it the governor will follow suit?
Honestly, Paris, not very realistic. Every politician wants to leave his or her mark, and Governor Pritzker is no exception to that. In fact, we are all but certain that he will introduce new programs because he talked about it when he was inaugurated to a second term. He got big applause when he said that he wants to start free tuition for all low and middle income college students, and he wants to offer preschool to all 3- and 4-year-olds. It's in concept, at least, Republicans are on board with expanding early childhood education. House Republican leader Tony McCombie says particularly in rural areas, parents aren't able to work because there are not daycares or preschools that could take care of their children. But she says writing a check alone will not solve the issue because it's a matter of workforce and regulations. But yes, money is an issue too.
We all know that nothing's free, so it's the intent seems good, but how do we get there is always the question.
Now, Paris, there are sure to be many other demands for that money, including from Republicans. In fact, some say that they don't want to wait for a new fiscal year and that Pritzker should immediately move to help out downstate residents who are dealing with what they call an electric bill crisis. We've covered the escalating utility costs in the Chicago region, but the bump is even bigger for Ameren customers in central and southern Illinois who in cases are paying double their previous electric rates.
Last week in Kincaid, Illinois, an entire grocery store went out of business because they couldn't pay the power bill for their coolers. Okay, that community is without a grocery store.
Republicans blame a new state law that aims to move Illinois toward all renewable energy. They say they support green energy, but Illinois is doing too much and too fast. Environmentalists and backers of that law say that the law is not the cause of those rising utility rates, but the fact remains that, yes, electric costs are certainly going up. The GOP says that they want the governor to promise $200 million in relief for downstate residents and Ameren customers that would come in the form of rebates. Now, we will find out tomorrow, of course, whether that is on Governor Pritzker's radar or what else may be. Back to you.
He finds himself in a familiar position, having strong supermajorities in both chambers of the House. So we'll look forward to that speech. Amanda, thanks very much.
Certainly helps.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And up next, what's exactly in the proposed multi-year deal between the city and ComEd? Stay with us.
What should the city be doing to better support Black Chicagoans who are victims and survivors of hate crimes?
Classic city of Chicago, we work in silos, so the left hand doesn't know what the right hand doing, and the constituents get left out in between.
Power is the voice. The power is the numbers. The power are the people. The ability to sway elections is the power.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot is urging alderpeople to back a new deal to extend ComEd's contract to supply electricity to Chicago residents. Some highlights include a 15-year agreement with an option for a 5-year extension. There's an option to municipalize after 5 years, at least $100 million to support the city's climate action plan, funding for rooftop solar panels for low-income residents, and a new West Side training facility to train 10,000 Chicagoans to work in the clean energy industry. But some in City Council are pushing back, saying the mayor is trying to push the deal through too quickly.
Yesterday, I had a briefing on this that lasted about 20 minutes. None of my questions were answered. It was rushed. I didn't feel like, I don't know who worked on this or if any one of us had an input on this. I know I didn't. This is a huge deal, and I don't want to make sure that I'm not voting on something that's parking meters or the Skyway Bridge.
Joining us now to tell us more about this proposed deal is Skylar Larimore, the city's chief of policy. Skylar, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So why does the mayor's office think this deal is a good one for Chicago residents?
Yeah, two core reasons. One, neighborhood investments, the other, jobs. Neighborhood investments, in the opening you heard $100 million to go to neighborhood climate equity projects. What does that actually mean? That's shareholder dollars, company profits that no other municipality around the country has been able to secure at that scale. Those projects will mean that a resident in Austin can tighten up their building envelope in their home, lower their energy costs, and lower their carbon emissions. Those solar rooftop installations you heard about, that's 4,000 low-income residents that can benefit from that project. And the jobs, that West Side Training Center, that'll catapult us towards a clean energy economy of the future in which the workforce is as diverse as the diversity of our residents.
Now, as we just mentioned, some city council members are questioning why the mayor is pushing for a quick vote on this. Why not wait until after the election when a potentially new city council and potentially a new mayor would have the opportunity to get a good look at it?
Yeah, it's a great question. To provide some context, this has not been an overnight agreement. So the current agreement expired at the end of 2020, and the mayor looked at her team and said, I want you to negotiate the best possible deal for Chicago residents. And that included doing a public RFI process in 2021 to determine whether or not ComEd was truly the most competitive bidder to provide the best quality service for our residents. We've been negotiating in earnest since last year, and the timing worked out that at this moment, because of our hard negotiations, the company has finally come forward with a deal that we can be very proud of in terms of the benefits back to residents.
At the same time, though, all of that time, we know that ComEd has been at the center of this bribery scandal involving the former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Why embark on a 15-year deal with the company? Why not something shorter?
Yeah, so 15 years is actually very short in the world of municipal franchise agreements. Our current agreement with ComEd was 28 years. We did a scan of 3,500 municipalities around the country. The average deal is 20 years. And in our region with Joliet, Arlington Heights, those agreements span 40 to 60 years. So we think we found a really good balance of a much shorter term agreement, but obviously seeding the kinds of investment that we can see grow with something like a West Side Training Center that will take some time to get up and running, but then really ramp up a clean energy economy.
Additionally, we know Mayor Lightfoot demanded some additional ethics reforms, but didn't get them. This was, of course, after ComEd admitted to its part in engaging in this years-long bribery scheme. Do you believe this company to be ethically trustworthy?
Yeah, so make no mistake, the mayor has no tolerance, zero tolerance for the kind of criminal bribery activity and behavior that we saw from ComEd back in the day. The landscape has changed pretty dramatically since then. So in 2021, through the Clean and Equitable Jobs Act, the company is newly regulated through the Illinois Commerce Commission and on an annual basis has to submit compliance reports around their ethical practices as an operation. And we believe that with that oversight, coupled with the deferred prosecution in place, we can feel more confident about the leadership and the staffing in the company, and the city will continue to hold the company accountable. The other thing I'll note is $200 million in a deferred prosecution agreement. Most of our residents didn't actually feel a benefit from those dollars. But when we look at something like our new proposed energy and equity agreement, that $100 million, is actually going to be money that residents can feel in community because it will help lower their energy costs and prepare them for a clean energy economy with jobs.
So a recent report found ComEd had canceled service for more than 200,000 Illinois accounts through October of 2022. That's up 27% over the previous year. What protections for consumers, particularly those with low incomes, are in this deal?
Yeah, that issue is of utmost concern to the mayor. So she's a fierce advocate for utility affordability across water, electricity, and natural gas. I will note, as a part of this deal, we do not have the ability to regulate ComEd's tariffs, rates, or company-wide disconnection practices. Those are all regulated by the Illinois Commerce Commission. For many years, the city has stood side by side with the Attorney General's office and the Citizens Utility Board to be a fierce advocate for our residents, so that even in times like in January when the ComEd put forward their multi-year rate plan that won't be finalized until the end of this year, we already signed up to show up in that hearing to say, hey, every penny you've requested needs to be absolutely necessary because we need to protect for exorbitant cost increases for our residents.
We've got a few seconds left. How will this agreement advance the city's goals of creating greater equity and opportunities within the city?
Yeah, I think some of the investments I've already talked about, the $100 million to go to local climate equity projects. One thing I haven't noted is ComEd has also agreed to secure $400 million from state and federal grant sources and really unlock in creative ways that we haven't seen around the country, digital access. So thinking about their dark fiber network of infrastructure, we're actually going to be able to tap into that to connect thousands of residents to broadband access. So there's so many ancillary benefits. Once Alder people join us in looking under the hood, I think they'll agree that there is so much in here that will benefit residents of the future and residents today, and will truly lead to us being able to meet our ambitious goals through the climate action plan set forward last year.
Okay, of course, it remains to be seen when City Council will pick this up. Skylar Larimore, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now to Paris for a story about the challenges in looking for love. Paris.
Brandis, it's Valentine's Day and love is in the air, but one group of people struggles with love more than most. Carol Marine and students from DePaul University's Center for Journalism, Integrity, and Excellence have the story. Carol, it's great to see you here in the new studio.
It's great to be here, Paris. And as you know, we all search for love at one time or another, but many struggling with mental health conditions like depression or anxiety face even more obstacles when it comes to making a romantic connection. Roxy Stendera knows that all too well.
For 26 years, I spent Valentine's Day alone without anyone that loved me. I didn't get a card. I felt truly unlovable.
Roxy Stendera is now 27 years old, lives in Chicago, and works hard to cope with depression and anxiety.
I did at times feel like I was unlovable, or I had too much baggage, or people wouldn't want to be with someone who had depression or anxiety.
Alex Queenan understands what she's saying completely.
Roxy was the first person that I completely let in and completely let her see me.
Alex and Roxy met in a recovery program. He too struggles with depression and anxiety. In the past, because of the stigma, he didn't know how to tell potential partners about his mental health. With Roxy, he said, he was able to open up without judgment.
Like, I realized how important it was to speak about how I feel and to find people in my life that will listen.
The celebration of Valentine's Day is marked with flowers, cards, and candy. It's a time of holding hands. But for some with mental health issues, it can be a holiday as gray and gloomy as a Chicago winter.
I can only speak for myself with my depression that there are days you don't like yourself.
When people meet Jasmine DiNatera, they may see a happy single mom and businesswoman who is active in her Pilsen community. Yet, potential romantic partners may not comprehend the complexity of her depression.
There are days that you might wake up and feel that the world might be better off without you. There are days where you can really talk yourself into a hole, and so you have to be very strong to pull yourself out of there.
Being candid about your mental health isn't easy, especially when you're looking for love and especially when you're doing it online. So, how candid should you be and when?
I have been on dating apps that ask questions, and I try to answer in witty ways regarding my mental health or what I was looking for.
I don't think there was ever like a interests, hobbies, are you on Lexapro question. Like, I don't think that ever came up.
I look at it as kind of like a job interview.
Jennifer Klesman is a clinical social worker and therapist who's written on the subject of dating and mental illness.
You know, you don't put any of your mental health challenges on your resume or your cover letter. You want to get the interview.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 50% of people in the U.S. will be diagnosed at some point in their lifetime with a mental illness or disorder. On Alex's arm is a tattoo, "Why Do We Fall?" It's a reference to a line in the movie Batman Begins, the answer to the question, so that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
It's something we've both been through. We've both fallen, and we've both picked ourselves up again.
As some people pop the cork or dance a little closer this Valentine's Day, others will be celebrating perhaps a bigger achievement, finding love and laughter in a world which can present great challenges. Last year, Alex gave Roxy a Valentine's Day card. Expect another one this year and a special dinner. This Valentine's Day for Jasmine will be devoted to her son. If love comes, she will accept it, but she says she will accept it on her own terms.
You know, whoever you choose really does have to be empathetic, and that's why I don't mind disclosing information at the beginning, because this is who I am, take it or leave it, and I'm going to keep on working on myself.
So here we are in the final hours of Valentine's Day. Jennifer Klesman acknowledges just how stressful this day can be. So we asked her, what if someone is out there too scared to try? And her response, Paris, was, you try anyway.
And Carol, the three people you interviewed, they really opened up about some very personal details.
They did, and it took courage. But they did it as their own kind of Valentine to others who have gone through and are going through the things they have been going through.
Important story on Valentine's Day. Carol, thanks very much.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. And we're back to wrap things up right after this. But first, we take a look at how long these warm temperatures are expected to last.
And that's our show for this Tuesday night. Don't forget, you can get Chicago Tonight streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, WTTW.com/news.
You can also get the show via podcast and the PBS video app. And please join us tomorrow night live at 10. Governor J.B. Pritzker unveils his proposed state budget to lawmakers. We're live in Springfield.
Plus, why some residents oppose plans to combine a library with a public housing development in the back of the yards community. And people aren't the only ones enjoying sweet treats this Valentine's Day. We leave you tonight with animals at Brookfield Zoo enjoying some heart-shaped snacks. For more images, you can check out our website. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. Thank you all for watching. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you,
Happy
Brandis.
Valentine's Day,
and
Paris.
to this little otter here.
And to the cuties eating their snacks. They look delicious.
Good night, everybody.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a proud sponsor of diversity, equity, and inclusion-focused free continuing legal education for lawyers throughout the region.
They are intelligent, resourceful, and remarkably resilient. No matter where they live and what unique challenges they face, they will come out on top. These are dogs in the wild.
Wednesday at 7 on WTTW.
In the ancient Amazon, who lived there?
It had been assumed that the Amazon was pretty much untouched nature.
But now breathtaking finds it was some sort of urban complex. Reveal Ice Age societies, agriculture, and mysterious structures.
It's one of the most important archaeological sites that we have in the Americas.
Ancient Builders of the Amazon on Nova.
Wednesday at 8 on WTTW.